St. Louis and Gateway Motorsports Park marks the first time in 14 years that Formula Drift heads to the Midwest. The field of 32 drivers is nearing the end of the season, and James Dean has marked the past two events in Jersey and Evergreen Speedway with wins, and this has given him a notable edge on the rest of the drivers. If Osbo, Visick, or Forsberg wants to win the 2018 title, they need to make the move now. Let's go inside the Formula Drift Black Magic Pro Championship, only on Formula Drift Insider. Gateway Motorsports Park in St. Louis might be a new venue for us, but the previous round of competition at Evergreen Speedway in Monroe, Washington is an old favorite.
Last event went really well. We ended up fourth place, right behind Peter in third. He just out-qualified us, so we got that third spot. But again, we got some really good points. We faced Ryan Turk in the quarterfinals and just didn't quite have enough. I think we just left a little bit on the table against him. He was a little bit faster on the bank than what we had thought. So we ended up getting beat by him, but still fourth place finish, really strong finish, much needed points.
Yeah, at this point we've gotten 2 podiums, and the other rounds we've had some mechanical failures. So, and it's a bit frustrating because, you know, the engine package is starting to work well for us, and now these other things are starting to pop up. Long Beach it was the clutch, and then in Wall and Seattle it was the throttle bodies. And so we're just trying to, you know, iron all these things out, because when the car is on, it's 100%. We're, you know, top 3, top 5, you know, ready to go. But when you have those little things popping up at the wrong time, you know, you're going to go out early. So we're still sitting fourth in points despite all of that, which is, I don't want to say surprising, but, you know, we got a couple podium finishes and the win. So we are just doing our best to keep, you know, the smiles on these faces and keep the team moving forward as we work through these and try and get back on that box.
Battle between James and me, yeah. So it was interesting actually, because I was leading first. I was higher after the qualification. So I tried to do as good run on the bank as possible. And then when we started to go towards the infield, I didn't notice, but there was shade from the grandstand exactly on the touch and go zone, in the end of the bank and at the touch and go. So we didn't even notice, but the grip changed there. So I suppose that the car will stay on the track, but unfortunately it goes 2 or 3 wheels off the track because of the lack of the grip, and that's the excuse what we have actually. And that cost me the advantage from this run, so the advantage goes to James. On the second run, I'll try to push him as hard as I can to the first bank, actually a bit even too much. I hit James 2 or 3 times on the bank, and then going to the infield, he managed to make some gap, but still the mistakes from the first run make the outcome.
Going into the battles, I didn't have the confidence that I would like to have. We had good lead runs, but didn't have very strong and fast chase runs, so I was struggling with keeping up with these guys. We moved on from top 32 with Federico Cerifo, but we knew that top 16 was going to be a real test. It was Matt Field and his lightning-quick Corvette. I came in to the infield a little too hot. I dropped the tire off the left side of the track and had a big deduction going into the second run, and even though we're chasing well, it wasn't enough and we lost out in top 16.
Yeah, so in the finals we battled Ryan Turk, who was driving really good that event. He was very fast, and you could see that he was very focused on getting a solid result in Seattle. So I was leading first, led a nice run. He was really close to me on the bank. I think made a small mistake coming off the bank going into the infield, and we both finished the run pretty strong. And while I chased him, I tried to enter fast behind him on the bank, but he managed to get a bit of a jump on me. So he had a bit of distance at the start of the bank. I managed to reel him in as we're going through the bank, and throughout the rest of the course didn't make any major mistakes and finished off the run strong. But I think they deemed They deemed his mistake coming off the bank while chasing me the only difference in the runs. Honestly, I thought it was going to go one more time from being on the inside of the car, but went our way, and you know, it's a great position to be in leading into the closing rounds.
Formula Drift Insider on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Black Magic. Own your shine. By Gum Out, Science In, Performance Out. By Air Force, Aim High. And by the Formula Drift app. Download the FD app in the iOS or Android store now.
The United States and drifting share a couple common bonds: growth, progression, and diversity. And after 15 years, we enter a new venue.
So yeah, coming to a new track is definitely refreshing. We've been at a couple ovals. Gets a little redundant as a driver. This new track is road course. I love road courses. Defined track. You can use your peripheral, you know where the track is. The other thing is this track is super fast. It's way faster than any other track I think that we've ran this year or in the past. I mean, I'm in 4th year ripping through the entire course. I mean, it's basically 1 through 4 on entry and just leaving in 4th and just like throttle down. I mean, a fully committed run, I think a close to a perfect run, there's no correction. Like no e-brake, no nothing, just slight lift for transition and then back on throttle. You know, back on throttle through every zone. I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to coming back to this track in the future.
Every round is important when you only have 8, but being round 6, there's only 3 left, and yeah, we got to get a good finish here if we want to stay in the top 3 especially. We're sitting 4th right now, just outside with that issue in Seattle. So we want to do our best to, you know, give it all we got today. New track, new day, we're ready for it.
I think that smoke will be the big issue because, as I said, everybody are on a full throttle, so the smoke will be everywhere. And some transitions are really fast, some transitions are slow, and you have to be careful not to flick your car too fast, because then you will be on a very bad line and pretty much it will be over. And if your opponent didn't make any huge mistake while chasing you, you will be in that position definitely.
The initiation is pretty straightforward. The first 2 turns are pretty straightforward as long as you don't get caught in the smoke from the lead car. But the real trick is your timing into the last and final turn. You don't want to do it too late. You're going to wash off the track on the left side. You don't want to do it too early because that means you're going to end up too shallow. So your timing with all of the transitions, and especially the last one, is what's going to make or break your run at this track.
It's really cool to come to a new track and challenge yourself on, you know, new surface, new transitions, new edges. It's really fun, and we're going to have a new crowd this weekend, so it's going to be really exciting to see the new people come. People that may not have seen Formula Drift before or only know it from watching the live streams and the TV shows. So for me, it's going to be cool to bring drifting to a new audience, hopefully.
Prior to the top 32 head-to-head battles, the drivers' meeting has a heightened sense of awareness. It's a new track, so new criteria is laid out by the judges. All the drivers asking pertinent questions so they could advance on and eventually find the podium. First up, Frederick Osbel. He's our #1 qualifier, so he gets an automatic bye run into the top 16. Next up, Matt Kaufman goes against Jonathan Castro. Unfortunately for Matt Kaufman, he breaks, but Castro advances on.
So, top 32 battle with Rad Dan. We just ran, had good runs. I made a little mistake, he made a few more, and I think I learned a lot from that battle, so I'm looking forward to top 16, and we'll see who we're gonna run.
We just finished up top 32 running Matt Van Kirk, and he's quick. He's one of the faster guys out there, and so we knew we had to give it all we had. We're, you know, at a little bit of a deficit. We're having some issues on the car, trying to keep water in it, but you know, the guys came up with a way to keep this thing running cool. We're just running as little as possible, just getting it right up to the line, fire and go. So just trying to make sure that we keep this thing together, making all the power we can so we can take this thing a little further today.
Taylor Hull brings a new car to the track. Unfortunately, it's not ready for prime time, meaning Odi Bakshis advances on. Dean Carney in his Achilles tire Dodge Viper is taken out by Peter Visick, the Polish driver.
Odi, so you are in top 16, yeah? Yeah. Oh, hello.
Top 16,
Oh, yes, I am.
We're on the same side of the bracket.
I think so. Oh, you see, so we'll see each other probably in top 16.
Yeah, probably.
First. Not the first time, exactly.
All right, I'm going to get my car ready. I'm going to make it really, really fast.
Yeah, so I will make mine really, really slow, so it will be cool, yeah?
Perfect.
Have fun,
right.
man. Take
See
care.
you, man.
So we just finished our top 32 battle against Austin Meeks. Bit sketchy for us because in my last run of practice I dropped a wheel and did quite a lot of damage to the rear end of the car. So the team worked very hard, replaced all the rear suspension on the rear right hand side, and just got a finish in time, so we didn't know how the car was going to react. Went out there in the lead run, managed to feel pretty good, and yeah, Austin spun out behind us, so gave us a big advantage going into the second run. In the second run, I didn't want to, play it too safe, and I didn't want to risk it too much and make a big mistake, so I tried to play it semi-safe. I came in quite close in the first corner, and on the transition, I actually transitioned a little bit too late. He started to pull a little gap in us, but I caught him throughout the course, and by the end of the run, we were very close, and we managed to get the win.
Two FD veterans do battle. Vaughn Gittin Jr. versus Ryan Turk. Ryan Turk sensationally goes off track, meaning Gittin advances. Another All-American machine, Matt Field, takes his number 2 qualifying bye run.
We just finished our top 32 round against Kevin Lawrence. We ended up coming on top after a one more time battle. It was tough. I think I got a little bit of clutch slipping, so right now we're changing the clutch. It made it tough for me to perform, but we were able to, stick with him well enough to get it one more time. And then on the one more time, I definitely pulled out a really good chase run, a really good lead run, and it put me out on top. So I'm looking forward to battle against Matt Field in top 16.
Next, Justin Pollock goes against Kyle Mohan. Unfortunately for the lone Wankel, the rotary gets knocked out.
So we pushed on through 32, got those championship points, and we're either going to be going against Dai or Federico. So we're looking forward to that battle.
I had a really decent lead run. I don't know, I think he was pretty close, and he was really close at the last turn. He tapped me a little bit, and then he ended up spun out. And when I followed him, after initiate, I made a really big mistake. I got too much inside, so I have to kind of back out. From there, I lost my proximity, but I was able to catch up at the very last turn. So it wasn't the ideal follow run, but it was enough for me to move on to top 16.
Another driver advancing on the top 16 is Greddy Performance Toyota Racing driver Ken Gucci. As top 32 battles continue, Latvian driver Christos Blush defeats Taguchi. Then Chelsea Denofa takes out FD rookie Dirk Stratton. And finally, Alec Honadale finds himself in the grass, meaning Jeff Jones moves on to top 16. Speaking of top 16, that's our next stop here at Formula Drift Insider.
Formula Drift Insider on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Nexen Tire. Driving tomorrow. By NOS. With Complex 6 for high performance energy and enhanced mental focus. And by Falcon Tires.
The St. Louis Arch in the backway of Gateway Motorsports Park is a spectacle, but all eyes are affixed on the start line here at the top 16. Jonathan Castro against his Toyota racing teammate, Frederick Osbo. Frederick Osbo is a contender for the championship, but Castro wants to put a stop to that. Frederick Osbo puts his car in all the right places. Castro does a great job, but eventually, celebrations go the way of Frederick Osbo.
You're shortening my lifespan, dude. You don't know how stressed I am.
I know he has it in him, and I knew that as I lined up. My heart was about to explode, and after the 2 runs, I was 100% sure it was either going to be a one more time or Castro would take it.
So top 16 battle with Forsberg. Pulled up to the line, did our burnouts and stuff, or I did my burnouts, pulled up, waited. He didn't show up. Sat there for a couple minutes. He finally came in, did his burnouts, took his time. Then leaving the line, my tires were cold and hit one of the restart cones, so we did a restart and turned back around, got back in line, went for it, and he hit me in the rear, right in the wheel on the first corner, knocked the toe out, and the car was kind of skating around everywhere. I didn't hit my marks, and so I didn't have a really great lead run, decent but not great. And we tried to get the guys to look at the car. but we didn't want to use our 5-minute call. They didn't think the damage was big enough, but yeah, we had to run the second run, hoping that we had enough speed still with the toe knocked out, but we didn't, and he pulled a gap on me, and I just couldn't catch him with the toe being knocked out. Sucks, you know, get hit and the balance of the car's off, and now we don't have any speed, so I guess it is what it is.
The next battle poses Polish driver Peter Visik. He enters his sophomore season in the FD Championship. He goes against a veteran, Odi Bakshis, who speaks softly but carries some big angle. He's a true contender for the championship, maybe not in 2018, but for years to come. Eventually, Peter Visik gets the win. Mutual admiration for all the drivers as their peers and friends on and off the track.
So finally, I had my chance to battle James Dean. We all know, he's proven it all over the world. He's one of the best drifters there is. Went out there, we had an epic first battle, went to one more time. Second battle, we were going super hard on my chase run against him. Unfortunately, coming out of the touch and go around interclip 3, I lost a tire and unfortunately wasn't able to stay on track. Went 2 wheels off, actually 4 off probably. And yeah, unfortunately with the rules, if you DB'd a tire, you lose.
These two competitors have definitely two different schools of thought. One 2JZ powered S15 against a supercharged V8. Matt Field gets the win.
I'm having a little bit of struggle with the power on my engine. I don't know what it is. We're gonna have to go back and figure it out, but it's been kind of dying, and it's just wasn't enough. I was having a hard time connecting the course, and I know the car's way down on power, but we'll get it sorted out, and we'll be back for Texas.
On my lead run, went for the entry, and I just felt like a big impact into the left rear of my car, spun me out. We came back, Di said that he just kind of like was trying to stay super close and just made a mistake. I mean, it happens in drifting, especially in competition. We're all pushing really hard.
To be dead honest with you, I don't know how I won that one. The first lap out where I was leading, I just did the best that I could on the lead. And apparently he made some mistake behind me, but that might have been big enough to take himself out of the round. I mean, in the chase, I was pretty far back behind him, and there was quite a gap, so I thought, like, seriously, I was going to be knocked out, but here we are in the grade 8, so I'll take it. I'll take anything. I'll take a win.
So I just went up against Jeff Jones in top 16. I knew it was going to be a really good battle. He's been on his A game this weekend, driving the best I've seen him drive in a long time. Not discrediting his past, but he was ripping today. So we put the car, set it up the best we could for his battle, and it was nailed. It was perfect. I could lift when I needed to. I could drive up on him right when I needed to, and the runs were just amazing.
Top 16 is in the books. Next up, grade 8.
Formula Drift Insider on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Black Magic. Own your shine. By Gum Out, Science In, Performance Out. And by Nitto Tire, fueled by enthusiasts.
St. Louis delivered some crazy weather the day before, but today it's blue skies and smoky clouds coming off the back ends of our first battle of the grade 8. Frederick Osbo and Chris Forsberg.
I led first, put down a pretty good qualifying run. Steph was really happy with it from the spotter stand. Now for my chase, we've been really working to improve the chases over the weekend. We have extracted every little bit of speed from the car, and I was able to stick it right back to him during that long final sweeper, and that's what the judges really like.
But we came in the way we didn't want to come in, on top of a recovery truck. Unfortunately, in the very first run, I was leading. Went through the first 2 corners, and just coming out of the second corner, it threw a rod out to the block, and yeah, engine gone. So it's a shame we didn't get to have a fun battle like we always do, but overall, it's a good weekend. Top 8 finish, Peter's into the top 4.
We made a change right before our bye run, and so far it seems to be working out. I think that maybe we were underestimated just a little bit, but Justin gave it his all, so did we. We just ended up being a little bit faster, I think. I chased first and just drove all the way up on him. In the inner 2, I was right on him, and then just got up alongside of him, gave him just enough room to transition. I was even like I sucked it up a little bit because I thought I was gonna take our bumpers off. But we just rode right up on the inside of him again, gave him some room to transition, drove back in, stayed right on his door of the chase. And then on lead run, I just did my solid as best I could qualifying run, and it worked out great. He made a couple mistakes behind me, and I ended up getting the win.
Now, no mistakes need to be made, especially for Fredrik Osbo. He's the first battle in the Final Four against Peter Visick. With James Dean out, Fredrik Osbo could gain some much-needed points in order to clinch the 2018 title. On the other side of the Final Four bracket, it's All-American. 16 cylinders, 8 per car. Field versus Denofa.
My spotter told me one thing: watch out for his initiation, because he's wild, he throws a ton of angle, he's probably gonna blow the clip, and he's probably gonna do the same thing at clip 3. Sure enough, that's exactly what happened, but we weren't caught off guard. We were expecting it. I just let him do his thing on the initiation, waited for the transfer, transferred, drove up, applied pressure, waited for the transfer the other way, crazy backwards, like, Chelsea, you're wild, man. And then waited for him to transition again. It was pretty much a waiting game for me. Unfortunately, the cars, the Falcon tire, it's allowing me to do that. Wait and not get smoked. Wait and apply pressure when I need to.
Patience was key against Denofa, but now Matt Field goes against the #1 qualifier and 2018 championship contender Fredrik Osbo. Both drivers no strangers to FD finals, and both debuting new cars this season.
First run with Matt, I was trying to put down a good, strong qualifying run, which has been the goal all night. And we did that, and Matt went off track trying to chase us down behind us. We had a big advantage going into run 2. Now for my chase, I knew that all we needed to do was to stay behind him and not make any mistakes. At the same time, I wanted to give it to him. I wanted to be close, stayed right there, reeled him in through the last turn, tapped him a little bit across the finish line, sealed the deal. Here we are, #1.
And with that #1 position and James Dean retiring early, the championship is still up for grabs. Please join us at the next round of the Formula Drift Black Magic Pro Championship in the Lone Star State at Texas Motor Speedway. In association with Formula Drift, this has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.